Where am I?
Come find me.
What you just saw is a clip from Chasing Shadows, the game me and my friend Steve made for Ludum Dare 46. If you don't know what Ludum Dare is, it's a game jam or competition where you have a weekend to make a game. Here's how we did it, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more. Alright, it is Friday afternoon. The game jam is going to start in about 5 hours, so until then I'm going to brainstorm a little bit and then run some ideas with Steve later on. But first, my quarantine beard has gotten a little bit out of hand there, so better fix that first. Alright, much better. Let's begin. After doing some planning with Steve, we decided to go with a 3D stealth game before even knowing what the theme would be. The theme turned out to be Keep It Alive, which, well, we had absolutely no idea how to make a stealth game about that, but we forced ourselves to stick to it and decided to just see what would happen. Just like for our last game, Glitch Dash, Steve went for doing the player movement while I had to go at doing the enemies. This would be pretty daunting for both of us. So naturally, I began by creating a test level and created a little ball to act as the enemy. We knew for sure that we didn't want to do any animations for this game, so we had to figure out how to keep the enemy design simple. I snagged a nav mesh system from Brackeys and bam! Pathfinding worked just like that, but little did I know, this was just the beginning. In the meantime, Steve worked on the player. I know Steve never did movement in 3D before, and there were a lot of issues that he had to figure out, so it was pretty awesome to see how he quickly managed to put that together. As for me, I didn't even know where to begin making this enemy do more than just follow the player. I sat in the code for hours just staring at the screen. Eventually, I finally got basic target selection to work at least, so I made the scene a little prettier, but then I remembered. I've never played Thief the Dark Project or any Thief game, but I've been fascinated by immersive sims recently, and I've been researching them for my current main project, Tempered Flames, so link to that if you're interested. But what Thief does, which is really cool, is it makes the guards actually react to the sound levels of different surfaces you are walking on. So you see this guy is on a soft carpet surface, he's making a little bit of sound, and the shadow enemy does not see him. Now this guy over here, he's standing on like metal or something, right? So he's making a lot of sound, so that shadow enemy sees him and is gonna chase him. Well, it's after midnight so far. Progress isn't bad. Steve, once again, has been hard at work with the movement. As for me, I once again took on doing the enemy AI, but this is going to be a lot more complicated than Glitch Dash. Already just with the sound surface levels, whatever you want to call it, that's been a little bit of a pain to do, but it's very interesting. And yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot over this game jam, and I'm super excited to see where it goes next. It is Saturday morning, and Steve left me with a mostly functional first-person player. He said he still had to implement crouching, so that would have to wait, but I was ready to start implementing the enemy sound detection, so I made these two giant spheres that represented the enemy's hearing range. I began to implement the sound levels idea I had last night, after which I watched a tutorial on how to do a vision cone for the enemy, so that the player can't be seen if he's outside of that cone. Here's how that looks in-game, but whoops, you can see the red line turn green when the player is within the vision cone. That will then allow me to change the AI's behavior to go for the player when he sees him. Alright, so the AI vision tracking is done. He can now see the player when appropriate, so that's pretty cool. Now the next thing to figure out is how to make him like stop following the player, although I'm not sure about the design. I don't know how I want to really implement it, because I don't know if it should be like instant, or should he like wait a bit, or should he like go to the player's last known sound or whatever. Like, I don't know what the best design for this and for the game jam, and like to keep it simple and all that. I'm not sure what to choose essentially, but the programming shouldn't be too hard. Maybe it will be, who knows. And then after that I can start actually doing the attacking and like start playing with like the visual effects and stuff, so that's probably what I'm most excited for this. But first, I got some food. So good. Alright, check this out. So you see that? The AI just moved towards that little cube over there. That is his terminal. He's going to be attached to that terminal. I'm currently sneaking. He's not going to slow down his movement, but I'm currently sneaking. I'm sneaking up to him. I'm far away enough that he can't hear me while I'm sneaking, even though I'm not on the soft surface. But now I'm going to stop sneaking and move, and now you see suddenly he is following me, but I'm going back on the soft surface. I'm sneaking on the soft surface. He went to where he heard me. He couldn't see me there, so he went back to his terminal. I'm so excited about this, you guys. This is awesome. And now I'm sneaking right up to him. I'm gonna, oh, he saw me. He can totally see me right now. I'm gonna try to sneak away from him. See if it works. It totally worked. Nope, he still sees me. Okay, cool. That's good. That means he's not that stupid. Okay. Okay, cool. I kind of like that. Steve and I had some difficulty not being able to actually hang out during this jam, but I think we managed.
Goodness, okay, so let's talk about this movement script. You mentioned the moving boolean.
It's always going to be true as soon as you start moving.
So I gave it the ability to be false. I'm curious if that does anything for the movement at all. Wonderful, it does great things with movement.
Does it actually?
I can't move.
Hey, if you're watching this, make sure to keep enjoying your life. Don't get too bummed out, learn a cool skill, pray some more, and I bet we'll be through with this virus in no time. Anyways, at this point I was running kind of aimlessly, so I made the level bigger and tried to play with lighting. Little did I know, lighting would become the bane of our existence for the entirety of the game jam. It turns out Unity has a really hard time dealing with lots of lights that might need to move or turn on or off. It's actually really performance intensive, so what you're supposed to do is what's called baked lighting, or light probes, to get your lighting ready in advance or to simulate moving lights. But that was easier said than done though, and even our final result didn't turn out perfectly. But for now it looked scary enough for me to think everything was fine, so I moved on with my work. I started designing the enemy. At this point we were quite sure that we wanted to focus our time on presentation and mood rather than on intricate gameplay, so I really wanted to make sure this enemy looked spooky. We also figured this would end up being a bit more of a horror game than simply a stealth game, because neither of us wanted to deal with animations, so the enemy sort of had to be this weird abstract shape. I got inspired for some of the smoke effects around the enemy from this GDC talk on visual effects that I found fascinating. Unfortunately, the end result didn't quite look how I thought it would, so I covered it up with these black rays, which actually really sold the appearance of the whole character. Adding in that ominous red visor was a nice touch too, and it's just so creepy, and it makes the player think, what are these creatures? You know, like they're shadows, but they interact with electricity and stuff. Like, what's going on? Here he is in the game, super creepy if you ask me, but also I found it pretty easy to mess with him and thought, nah, he's not so scary after all. Why was I wrong? Anyways, it was getting late, so after touching up the code a bit, I messed with post-processing a little and may have taken it to the extreme, but honestly, post-processing is way too much fun to mess with. It's interesting not being able to go to mass, but we do the best we can, I guess. The game's going along really well. We got a lot of stuff done yesterday. Enemy's basically done. The whole game is basically done. We just need to do like particle effects and level design and stuff like that now, so hopefully we can actually finish that today. It's looking promising, I think. Stay tuned. Alright, let's take a look at some of the sounds Steve made here. I actually took a look at one of them. I really like these attack shake terminal sounds. Cool. Alright, awesome. So, I made some prefabs for the sounds and put them into the game. At this stage, there were just a few minor gameplay elements to do, and we were mostly done. Or were we? Naively thinking I had all the time in the world, I decided to make some particle systems. I wanted to make sparks like in Glitch Dash, but I was kind of rushing and they just kind of looked like confetti. Oh well. I also made this cool black orb thing, which I think is super neat. In the meantime, Steve had finished most of the stuff he was going to do, so we thought it would be cool to make some 3D models for the game. We started getting some really neat ideas to spice up our presentation, and honestly, I love what Steve came up with. They add so much to the game that would otherwise have been so bland and simple. I began doing the actual level design for the game, and I wanted to make sure to introduce the player to the mechanics slowly over time, even though they weren't as complicated as they were in Glitch Dash. Some people playtested it already, and I can tell you that I didn't quite reach that goal. It's so important to reveal the gameplay in an organic way to the player so that they can clearly understand what to expect from the enemies, the environment, and their own actions. I think it turned out okay, especially with our added voice lines, but there's still a lot to learn. We also had a few more sound effects to do.
Where am I? Those shadow things must have taken Emily. I've got to find her.
Where am I? Those weird shadows must have taken Emily. I've got to find her.
Now came the part I dreaded the most. Lighting. I put lights all around the world. It looked beautiful. Steve's terminals with their glowing canisters emitted blue light, the sparks danced across the scene, but in some places the light just wasn't working. I set it aside for now and did a bit more level design, and honestly I think given our limited time the scene looks stunning. Steve's models that he rigged up quickly just by using Unity's basic 3D objects look awesome and sell the aesthetic really well. Eventually, after a whole day of trying to bake the lighting on my end and getting Steve to bake the lighting on his end, and seeing that it looked terribly and trying to figure out why, we finally were able to see our beautiful finished results made with blood, sweat, and tears. Just look at that. Wow. Alright everyone, thanks so much for watching. Check out the game on itch, and if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and consider subscribing, it really helps out. If you want to see how Steve and I made our first Game Jam game, that video was a lot of fun to make and I think you'll all really like it. I've got tons more devlogs on this channel and a lot more on the way, so check them out. Stay tuned and see you later.